Hi guys, welcome to Power Positioning. So this is the first official lesson of LuxeScale. So we just finished all of the introduction, so you know about the four basic pillars. You should have been onboarded now to all of our systems. You know about all the additional systems, how to access those, how to access the masterminds, the master classes, the group coaching and the one-on-one coaching. And then access us, your faculty, right, through your one-on-one calls, the private Slack channel for easy stuff and tech support and anything you need help with immediately. And then the community, right, which is an awesome and really important part of this whole series and program. So let's get right into power positioning. So power positioning, basically, if you were to think of it, in a nutshell, it is really identifying who the luxury client is that you're trying to reach. And more importantly, all of the emotional drivers that trigger their decisions, right? Their lifestyle, how they buy a home, what's important to them. And then doing a deep dive into your own branding, your marketing, all of your client, your forward-facing stuff, whether it's digital or in print. And then it's never going to be on, so don't worry. But we're going to realign all of that so that it actually meets the client you're trying to attract, right? This sounds all like a no crap sort of thing, but on a fundamental level, very few agents do this, right? And this is marketing and advertising 101, right? If you don't know who you're trying to reach, you're never truly going to be able to craft effective ads and marketing to actually convert on a very successful and scalable basis. So that's what this is all about, right? So this first module is just an overview of that. So as we dive in, you want to position yourself as a trusted advisor, right? You're not going to be a salesperson. Now listen, if you want to maintain your current price point and increase volume in that, that's fine. And maybe you sprinkle in some luxury stuff. But I would advise everyone to position themselves as a luxury agent, right? Because frankly, even broke people, they want to work with a luxury agent. And I shouldn't, I don't say that facetiously, people at all levels, right? So your normal client, they want to work with a luxury agent. Why not? Why can't I have the same, be treated the same way as one of these high-priced, clients that we see in one of the major markets? So have that mindset, right? But you want to position yourself as the trusted advisor, right? A concierge level agent, a problem solver, not a salesperson, right? So fundamentally, that's going to, echo through all of this. So, at its core level, you're going to answer the question, why should I choose you over every other agent in the market, right? That's what your client's going to ask themselves and basically ask you or ask your advertisement that. So you need to be able to answer that. And that's what this whole, this initial module, this course load does. Okay, so what you're going to learn in this pillar, right? So as we discussed, you're going to define that luxury client avatar and then understand what truly drives their decisions. A lot of you are going to have more than one avatar, right? For instance, I am in a coastal town in Florida, right? So my luxury clients might be people that want to buy coastal properties on the water, right? But I'm also nearby acreage, right? So there's 10-acre luxury homes that are inland, 45 minutes an hour. That's, still my market. And believe me, I'll chase those if it's the right price point. Those buyers are completely different. And how you reach them is completely different. And the message that you put forward is 100% different, right? So many of you are going to have multiple luxury avatars. And then within avatars, you're going to have buyers and sellers, right? So coastal property people that are selling their property, right? They're gonna want to go somewhere else, and when when you're trying to attract them as a client, you're going to talk to them differently because they're going to have interest in boats and yachts and yacht clubs, and typically schooling isn't as good in these locations, right? So they're going to be all interested in private schools, and so it's just a different mindset. So you'll have to identify that. We'll walk you through all that, right? How to do that in one of the modules coming up here. And then aligning your brand, obviously, aligning that, a deep audit of your brand, what you currently do. When I say brand, I'm generalizing all of your marketing material, right? So, if you have education in marketing, I apologize now for kind of colluding those two things. But all of your outward stuff, right? So your brochures, your business cards, your profiles, your LinkedIn, any advertising you're putting out there, your postcards, your Google, business stuff. It all needs to align to that avatar or avatars in order for you to effectively attract clients. So we're going to teach you that, right? You're going to learn the difference between social proof and luxury proof. I'm not going to get into that now. And you're basically going to create a brand and a presence that justifies premium commissions, right? We're not going to talk about what that means. Well, that's where I'll get into trouble. But you don't want to discount your commissions, right? And in many ways, the higher, well, in most things at the luxury level, the higher the price, the easier things are to sell. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but with luxury clients, there is a certain level of scarcity, of wanting VIP access, of wanting to pay a premium for a premium service, right? So you're going to position yourself the same way. Now, wealthy people got wealthy, well, for many reasons, but it's usually not because they spend their money like crazy, but they are willing to spend money on services where they feel exclusive, where they feel a value in return for what they're paying. So that's how you're going to position yourself as an agent, so that when you walk into that $30 million listing opportunity, you're prepared to justify why you should get $1 million commission from that and not some flat $100,000 fee, right? If you're not prepared for that and you haven't positioned yourself for that conversation, or you haven't established yourself to be that agent, it's a difficult conversation, and you'll be led down that road of trying to jam in some discounted rate for your services. Now, of course, you're always going to negotiate, and it's always a case by case, and you have to use this deal to leverage into the next deal. I get that, and I'm not going to provide guidance there. That's more for your brokers. But you want to be able to position yourself to justify a premium commission for your service. Okay, so why does it all matter? Wealthy people don't work with just anyone, right? Yes, you have, and in fact, my market, there was a $12 million home sold to a Zillow agent, right? That honestly hadn't done a damn thing prior to that, because they got lucky, right? They got clicked on and had the opportunity to show the house, and the listing agent did all the work for them, from what my understanding is. Now, I'm not hating on that. That's great. That's America, right? Unfortunately, that agent was not able to capitalize on that opportunity, right? We're going to teach you that when you get your shot, if you're not in luxury real estate now, and it may not be a $12 million opportunity, it probably won't be, but when you get your shot, you are positioned to leverage that into additional business, and that's going to be in Luxury Loop at the end of this series. But they don't work with just anyone, right? They seek out trusted advisors. They're looking for an authority, a problem solver, right? And when you establish that position, you now become the concierge agent, right? And when I say that, it's not like, yeah, I want a 6-bedroom home with 10,000 square feet, go find it for me, Um, that's the easy part, frankly. Um, it is, they're giving you a problem. Kevin, I really want a vacation home in the mountains that I can establish a legacy where I can invite all of my family and friends and their extended family. And I want to be able to share this experience, you know, with my kids. And at some point, you know, they're taking over the property and I want it on acreage and I want to be able to wake up and go, you know, have chickens and live this lifestyle, you know, but I also want to be able to get in the car and be able to get to a grocery store, you know, in 20 minutes and um, solve my problem, right? That's that is a concierge level problem, right? Now, yeah, there's going to be different homes that suit that, or there may not be, and you may have to go find that, right? And that's part of the deal as a luxury agent is you'll have to reach out and talk to other agents and find out what's not listed and go, you know, make offers to people to get them to move and but it's solving the problem, right? You want to position yourself as solving the problem because when you gain their trust, what are they going to do with that, right? You've solved their problem. They just trust you. You know, it makes negotiations easier. It makes inspections easier, the whole escrow period. And then when you're done, they close on this beautiful mountain home. They've established that legacy. You know, they're living their dream. They're going to trust you for the next opportunity, right? Maybe the mosquitoes are just terrible. Right? They want to sell, or they woke up and there was a bear on the front porch, whatever, right? Or hey Kevin, this was an awesome thing you did for us, right? We're thinking of also getting a house in Maui. You know, can you help us with that as well, right? You know, if it's a $30 million house, I'm getting my license in Maui and we're going to figure this out, right? But if not, yes, I have partners I can refer you. And then it's a concierge level transfer and referral and follow up, right? But that's the whole point. You want to establish that position of trust. So you're providing that high level of service as a concierge, as a problem solver, right? All of that starts with proper positioning, identifying that client, right? If I'm the listing agent, who is it that's moving in to this big 40-acre, you know, $16,000, you know, square foot cabin in Vail, right? That you know, who's doing that, right? Well, it's somebody that wants to establish a legacy for the family to go on, you know, ski trips and blah blah blah. When I was a kid, I grew up in, you know, whatever, Beaver Creek, and that you're building that avatar, right? Who it is, right? So that then you can turn around, look at your brand. If it's not matching what that person, what drives their decisions, then you're realigning so that all of your outward stuff is, I am the expert on creating a legacy for your family. I know all, you know, we're going to, you know, I'm an expert in trusts and, you know, this is whatever the lifestyle is, right? All the emotional triggers. We're going to get into all these in depth, obviously, but that's what power positioning is, and it is just a foundational, huge thing that you need to incorporate in everything you do, outwardly facing, right? From your speech to what you learn. You know, we're gonna get into, you know, some things that you need to learn, right? If you don't know this stuff, that's okay. You know, you can learn this stuff. None of this is rocket science, and for the most part, that's all fun, right? Um, so you're going to learn that stuff, and you're going to learn how to speak, and then all your messaging and ads and all that stuff is going to be wrapped around attracting this kind of client, right? So that you can build trust with them. Whatever they see, they think that you are an expert in that area. So they are comfortable contacting you and saying, I want that. I have the same problem. Wow, your advertisement spoke to me because that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Here's my problem. I want you to solve it, right? That is what you're doing with power positioning. Okay, so the next few lessons, we're basically going to teach you how to define that avatar, right? Get down to basics, and then audit your brand, and then completely realign everything you're doing so that you can establish that position of trust with your clients and thrive in the world of luxury real estate.